In the year 1997, the future is in chaos and turmoil. Mankind is on the brink of extinction. Brave survivors band together and build a time displacement apparatus to receive a signal from a parallel future. This transmission is the Vundacast.
There's one team that kicks ass. They're assembled. They're the Vundacast. Never back down from the brass. Always start first. Never finish last. Had Mike Steen. Been too fast. Oh no, they're out of gas. It's okay there. Just a podcast. They're the greatest. We're the Vundacast.
Welcome to the Vundacast, the official podcast of Vundablog.com, the home of not a lot right now, but hopefully we can improve that. I am your humble host, Steven, and with me today is the non-binary wrestling review champion of the world, D-Rock, in the house. How you doing, D-Rock?
D-Rock rocking the mutton chops today. I don't know if you saw my fancy new face do.
Very impressive. Very impressive.
I'm going FTR for this one.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You should make your own FTR shirt, and
Yeah. Then I have to shave my
Photo.
head. And, I'm trying to do like contrast, like the gay haircut and then like the very, biker fucking facial hair.
Lemmy would be proud.
I'm a person of many contrasts. I contain multitudes.
What's this called? So we've taken some time off of AEW podcasts due to La Vida Loca,
Yes.
crazy life.
We're trying our best.
But we're back. It's the episode of April 7th, 2021. So much has happened since we've been gone.
It's true, yeah.
The Pinnacle had
One thing has not changed, and we'll get to that.
the Pinnacle debuted as a group and betrayed the Inner Circle. The Pinnacle went on a 3-episode run, and we had 3 episodes of Dynamite without the Inner Circle. Madness.
Wow.
It's never been.
There's like a few groups that didn't exist the last time we did this.
Yep. Another shocking revelation that happened was that QT Marshall
That's right.
betrayed his best friend Cody Rhodes, which I think is kind of ironic how they're like, QT's my best friend. Like, weren't they saying MJF was Cody's best friend? Like when
Right.
MJF betrayed Cody?
No, now he's my jerk friend.
Oh my god. So QT Marshall and his latest Nightmare Factory recruits, Aaron Solo, Anthony Ogogo, and Nick Camarado, turned on the other Nightmare Factory members and delivered a vicious beating, and Cody has not been seen since.
Yeah, very cool moment. Very cool.
And
I liked how they set it up with
today,
QT having that exhibition and QT kind of taking it a little too seriously and Cody kind of patronizing him.
yeah, if you're watching AEW Dark or Sammy Guevara's vlog, they had actually been teasing like a QT Marshall heel turn for a little bit on there.
Oh yeah.
He was having this feud with Fuego del Sol, telling Fuego del Sol that he sucks and he can't hit a tornado DDT. So they had a match on Dark right before this, the episode of Dynamite where QT turned. And QT Marshall beat Fuego del Sol, but Fuego del Sol was able to hit his tornado DDT finally in AEW for the first time. So that was a kind of a win for Fuego, and QT got to be a jerk heel. So that's pretty dope. And today they debuted their new shirt for their new group, which I think is going to be called The Factory.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah.
So that's interesting. We now have The Factory, Team Tazz, The Inner Circle, The Dark Order, The Elite, the whatever Cody's
Pinnacle.
Nightmare Family. Who am I missing? What faction am I missing?
The Pinnacle.
The Pinnacle. Then there's if you does two people count as a group?
No.
No.
It's got to be at least. I think it's got to be at least.
Oh,
like,
the Hardy Family Office.
the Hardys. That's what it was. Yeah.
The Hardy Family Office, and then I don't know if because Bunny, Butcher, and Blade are now with the Hardy Family Office, if like Eddie Kingston's crew is no longer officially a thing.
It seems like because that like who else does he have? You know.
Yeah, but I still want to believe that Eddie's still cool with them. They're just like taking this this gig.
Well, and he's doing a thing with Mox now. Well, not even because I think he's out hurt, but
yeah, that's right. Eddie Kingston injured his freaking heel, his ankle while we were gone. Oh my god.
Yeah, I know.
He's hobbling around.
A world without Eddie Kingston. It's really sad.
It's so sad. It's so sad. But he's still here. He'll be back.
Yeah, he's doing what he does.
Stay positive. So how did the show start, D-Rock?
The show started with it was a cold open. They don't usually do a cold open, but they had a cold open with all these like fancy ass cars pulled up. And I actually like that's a very like Four Horsemen thing to do. So I automatically kind of thought it was the Pinnacle, but it ended up actually being Inner Circle. And then Jericho kind of pulled up in front of all of them in his like like fancy sports car, and they got out and like walked to the arena, and then they did the the opening video.
I missed the beginning, and this is like the first time they do something like this where it's not just a cold match opening. I was like so lost. I'm like, all I'm missing right now is somebody walking to the ring. I'll be fine.
Right. Yeah. That's usually all you miss. And it was like maybe 30 seconds at the top of the show before the intro.
Tony Khan's finally changing up his television show formatting this year. Way to go, Tony. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, totally. But also like after that, then they do open with a match.
Yeah.
And the first match was Adam Page versus Max Caster.
This is the second time we've seen Max Caster in singles competition on AEW Dynamite. I believe that Bowens, his partner, is a little injured right now.
Yeah.
So he's doing singles matches. Max Caster had a great match with 10 of the Dark Order for a spot at the Face of the Revolution ladder match, which is really cool.
Yeah, it was.
So it's exciting to get to see him in the ring with Hangman.
Yeah, it was a tight little match. I enjoyed it. I'm not the world's biggest fan of Max Caster, but like I do see his value. And what I really liked this match and Tay Conti versus Bunny. They kind of like mentioned this thing about like when you're the number one ranked contender, you kind of have to like defend it for a couple of weeks. They like put you in matches with some of the top 2 and 3 guys to solidify or like to see if you can defend that. And then like after a couple of weeks, if you continue to stay number one, maybe then you kind of like get in line for a title shot, which I think is kind of cool.
Who won? Was it Hangman?
Hangman won, yeah. It was close though. There was that one part of the match where Bowens was like trying to get the boombox in, but the ref like shoot him out. But then he threw that chain in the ring, and Caster hit Page with the chain, and it looked like he was gonna win, but Page kicked out.
It was a good match, and ultimately, I think this overall was kind of an underwhelming Dynamite.
It was a little, especially compared to past episodes, I think, yeah.
So I didn't really appreciate, what a highlight this match was as it was happening.
Right.
But in retrospect, I think I dug it more so than a lot of the men's matches.
Yeah, there was a lot of tight little fun little spots, and it was well done. Definitely.
Word. Next on the show?
I think the next thing was the Death Triangle Best Friends promo.
I really liked that Tony Schiavone introduced Death Triangle. I thought that was really cool, and Tony Schiavone has only done that for the old school wrestlers so far.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to see him them do a big announcement like that for these younger guys.
Right, for sure. I thought it was at first I kind of was like, man, they really moved on fast from the Miro Kip feud. But I was actually talking to a friend about it, and he was like, dude, that feud went on forever. And I was like, yeah, that's a good point. It really did. It was so long because Trent went out, and then they had to rewrite the whole thing basically. And
I still think there's gonna be another match there.
Trent barely got to participate in that feud. He only showed up at the end to vindicate, but you got to think they took him out. You got to think that he, wants a little bit more revenge than that. But I think moving them into this thing with Death Triangle is also a good call. I think that's going to be a fun little program.
And I like that they gave that each member of Death Triangle got a little bit of moment time on the mic.
Definitely.
I think that it really makes them 1,000 times more interesting than when you're just calling them Death Triangle and watching them wrestle. To actually hear their voices and see what they're all from. They're from two different parts of the world, and yet they're the best wrestlers. You heard Danny laughing?
I heard Danny. I also, we both love the Trent's great line of, all right, calm down, Triangle.
Calm down, Triangle.
That was good. That was a good segment. I enjoyed all of that.
It was good, and I have to say, I think that, I have to give Miro a lot of credit because you and me were not the biggest Orange Cassidy fans. And over this feud with Miro, I feel like I'm way more of an Orange Cassidy fan. And especially with his new music, I'm like, okay, this is cool.
I think I was into him at the beginning just because he was so over and his character was funny and quirky. I think when he really won me over was his feud with Jericho, when he started to
that made me not like him.
Really? I love that feud because it got him doing other shit other than his little shtick. He had that crazy, they did the debate and he had that crazy promo about climate change or whatever the fuck it was. And it was great. And it was the first time he broke the facade of being this really calm dude and actually showed some emotion. I remember thinking at the time, man, if there was a crowd there, they would be going fucking nuts. It's a shame. There's been a lot of moments like that where you think, man, if only there was a crowd.
Yeah, he's probably the character who needs the crowd the most that doesn't have them.
Yeah, so much of him and Luchasaurus, I feel benefit the most from having a crowd. Because when Luchasaurus would take those hot tags in front of the big crowds, It would just be like, now that there's no crowd, that's when I started like not really caring that much about the Lucha Express, because there's no crowd to like add to the fucking ambiance and the energy of their matches. And so much of those Luchasaurus, and he had a bomb ass hot tag in this match, and we're talking about it a little bit, but he benefits so much from the crowd, and taking that away, it's like it's so there's not much left. I mean, there is, but you know.
Jurassic Express is definitely a victim of COVID.
Definitely. But the next thing was maybe the highlight of the whole show, to be honest. When I saw this promo, I felt like this may very well be the best promo in AEW history, and which like, granted, that's a short history, but that's also a history that includes some really good promos. Just thinking back to, I don't remember if it was last week or the week before, MJF dropped a promo that was fucking deadly. And I remember thinking like, man, this kid, like, I think this a lot, but I always think like, man, if he wants to be the greatest of all time, he could be, if he really wanted to.
There have been a lot of great promos from Moxley, from Cody.
Oh yeah, Moxley's a great promo machine, you know. But this promo, oh my god.
But this one was just good because of how into the character it was, you know, into each character. So it's so good off the cuff. He like, I don't know if he wrote all this stuff, because there's so much stuff there to chew on. But it flows so well. Like, you can tell he's been doing this for like 30 years, because he's just so seamless. Let's go to the tape. So we're gonna play a little bit. We're gonna play all of it.
Circle, and we are back in black, baby. And it was only one short month ago when we were in this ring and given the beatdown of a lifetime by the Pineapple, the Pinnacle.
I love that joke because it's such a dad joke.
It's Cool Dad Jericho.
It's such a dad joke. It's so adorable.
He goes through like all these like stages of his career. It's so good.
And that beatdown taught us a lot. It gave us hospital stays, it gave us stitches, but most importantly, it gave us a wake-up call. It made us realize we had made a lot of bad decisions over the previous 6 months, decisions that hurt a lot of people, insulted a lot of people, and for that we apologize to everybody, including all of you. But those decisions were caused by MJF. My jerk-off friend. And you see, my jerk-off friend says he outsmarted us because he's much more intelligent than me. And he's right, I'm not smart at certain things. High school chemistry, I was terrible. My teacher even asked me after I failed another test, "Are you on dope?" That's an exact quote. I wasn't, I just wasn't very smart in chemistry. Were you smart in chemistry? No, exactly. Who is? But what I am smart
Who is?
Is well chemist for one.
Pro wrestling, the psychology and the business of pro wrestling. And that's why I brought MJF, my jerk-off friend, into the inner circle. It wasn't to take him under my wing. It was to keep him under my thumb. Because I know how dangerous my jerk-off friend is. I know how good he is. I know how much personality and potential he has. And I wanted to use him for every ounce of his being and suck all of his life out into the inner circle. And we had it perfectly planned.
I love it because he's both, you know, diminished MJF and also built him up as being worthy of, you know, your ire. Like, it's genius.
So it's such a great, like, he's this is how you be a tweener, right? Like, Young Bucks, take note. This is how, because he's still being kind of a heel, but then he's like apologizing for the things they've done that have hurt people, and he's
And
cutting
dumb
a
decisions they've made
against the worst heel in the company.
We knew he would eventually figure it out, and he'd show his true colors, and we were ready to kick his ass. But what we didn't think about is that he would be one step ahead of us. And we got outsmarted. Outsmarted by a man who can do everything, except for apparently put on a spray tan. Because a few weeks ago, when he was in this ring, he was oranger than Cassidy with more streaks than the bottom of that toilet bowl that I shoved his face into last week. I can't wait for the chance of Swirly when he comes.
I love that Jake like gives him like this like touch on the shoulder, like, ooh, that's hot.
I can't wait for the chance of Swirly when he comes back out here in front of you guys.
Swirly.
You see, MJF is only 25 years old. Think about that. When I was 25, I was still having wet dreams, but yet here he is, 25 years old, at the pinnacle of the pro wrestling business. You see what I did there? But here's the thing. MJF, you consider yourself to be a fine wine. You said you're going to get better with age, but the problem is you don't want to wait for the age. You want it now. You want to be better than the GOAT now. You want to be better than Chris Jericho now. Well, those are some big, big shoes to fill, my man. You got to go smaller. Take baby steps. Be better than Peter Avalon. Be better than Michael Nakazawa. Be better than that stupid Burberry scarf you've been wearing for a few years. It's tired, it's old, it's stale, and it sucks. Time to change it up. And besides, I was rocking the scarf gimmick 5 years ago, and if you're so much superior than me, why are you stealing my man? That's lame. But I got an old clipboard in the back. If you want to take that and add it to the list of gimmicks that you stole from Le Champion, go for it. You see, you're not as good as you think you are, Max.
And add it to the list of gimmicks you stole from Le Champion.
And he got an old clipboard. He's got the clipboard too.
Oh my god.
So good.
You believe your own hype. I see you listening to the critics. I see you listening to the fans online. Oh my gosh, you would beeline to the back after every match and promo you ever had to check how people thought you did. You know what? We call that in the pro wrestling business being a mark. But I'm going to change that to call it being a max. Because you, my friend, are a max for yourself.
Oh, man.
And the true issue is this. Max, you know, you'll never, ever be better than Chris Jericho. You'll never be better than me, and you know it. And that's causing the fine wine in your brain to ferment and sour, which is so apropos, because look at the sour men you've aligned yourself with, my jerk-off friend. Let's talk about Tully Blanchard, shall we? You said he's the greatest mind in pro wrestling history. Really? Seriously? He's really nothing more than the third string member of the Four Horsemen, right? Ranking somewhere between Ole Anderson and Paul Roma. Then you got FTR, maybe one of the greatest tag teams in the world today, but they're completely interchangeable. I can't tell which one is which. They're like AEW's version of the Jonas Brothers in that I know they're good, I know they make money, but I don't know their names. Are you Dax? Are you Cash? Are you Axe? Are you Smash? Are you Axel? Are you Slash? I don't know!
That was
and then, of course,
so good.
Are you Axel? Are you Slash? He had to have written that before.
He had to have written that part of it for sure, at least.
Spears, Sean Spears, he's got such a great upside, they say. I've never seen it. The only thing I've seen from Spears is his number on my phone when he called me after getting fired from the Fed 10 years ago, asking for advice. You know, aligning yourself with my jerk-off friend, Sean Spears, is about as good a decision as rocking a blonde mohawk in 2021. And then there's Here's Wardlow. Oh, yes, of course. He's got $1 million brain
Oh,
and
no.
a 13-cent body. And guess what? He's so stupid, he has to strip completely naked to count to 21. Think about it. I've seen him do it. Compare that to my inner circle, the new inner circle that's going to dominate AEW once again with the help of all of you behind us. We know the Pinnacle is good. We know they're going to beat the crap out of us. We don't care. We like to fight. The bottom line is we're going to shove the faces of the Pinnacle up each other's asses and form a human centipede with MJF in the back. You want blood? You want violence? You got it. Because we've been waiting for a match since March 25th of last year. Why play grab ass anymore? You want blood and violence? You're gonna get it. May 5th, right here in Daly's Place. First time ever, Pinnacle versus Inner Circle in a blood and guts match. We are the Inner Circle. We are back in black. We've been gone too long and we're glad to be back. We're gonna beat the living because like we told you last week, the worst is yet to come, and God help you for it.
Wow, you talking about throwing down the gauntlet, JR. We just heard an immortal promo.
My God.
You were right, JR. We did just hear an immortal promo.
Yeah. I mean, what else can you say? So many great lines. Like, I don't know how much of that was pre-written and how much of it was just off the cuff, because it flowed so well. So if that couldn't have been just a script that he memorized, but and the passion behind it, especially at the end, he gets really into it and gets really, pissed off and, excited. It's just, so good.
And it's the toss-up beginning of this, I guess, what's going to be their sequel, the Stadium Stampede,
Right.
which is Blood and Guts, which is something they wanted to do. I don't know if they're saying they're going to make it a Dynamite. He said May 5th. Is that a Wednesday? A Wednesday.
Oh wow.
Okay, so I guess maybe they're going to have a Blood and Guts episode, maybe, or just a match.
Maybe. Well, because Blood and Guts is like War Games, right? Like that's the two rings with the cages. I think.
I thought that Blood and Guts just meant hardcore match.
No, I think it's modeled after War Games. Let me look it up. But I'm pretty sure that's like their sort of, because let's see.
So extremely exciting to get.
Oh no, it's like War Games. Yeah, it's a 5-on-5. Yeah, okay.
5-on-5
So-
one ring.
So two rings side by side, and then they're covered in one big cage, and the people go in one at a time. And I think in War Games there was a coin toss, and whoever won the coin toss would always have the one-man advantage. So one person from their team and the other team, and then one person from their team and then the other team. So that putting that on Dynamite, I mean, I don't know if they're gonna just have two rings next to each other for the whole show. That would be pretty cool. I guess they would have to, like, they can't just bring in another ring.
Yeah, unless you put it on wheels or something. That's kind of weird.
Right. That'd be kind of weird.
I don't know.
But yeah, so that sounds like it's gonna be a very special episode of Dynamite.
It would be
What-
amazing if they just set up a bunch of team matches for that night. Like if they had Dark Order versus Hardy Family Office that night too, and they just had a bunch of 5-on-5s. That would be nuts.
I feel like what I would kind of expect AEW to do based on what I've seen from them is like every match will probably like find a different creative way to use the two rings.
Sure.
Is kind of how I see it playing out. Like sometimes some matches like spill out into the second ring. Sometimes they'll think maybe one match will like actually officially use both rings without the cage or something like that. Something like that. That kind of different for each match.
So what got to follow Jericho?
So following up Jericho was I believe the fucking insane King Kong Godzilla match between Lucha Express and Bear Country, which was really good. I really enjoyed this match.
It was a pretty good little match.
I thought it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of really cool spots in it. The double cannonball was kind of blew my mind a little bit. It was a great just like hoss fight. And Luchasaurus had an amazing hot tag in that match too, which I think that's what this is that we're looking at right now.
Oh, the pump kick in the corner to Boulder. Bronson got a bear sandwich in the corners. Luchasaurus teeing off on Bronson. German suplex. Boulder went for the knee strike.
Wow. The big man gets rocked to the canvas.
The crowd sounds so loud.
Country here tonight.
And he was
They're
outside for
miking
quite a
them
while,
better.
but he has come in.
Yeah.
Luchasaurus
But it
displaying some
sounded
pent-up passion.
louder than usual tonight.
Yeah.
Got Boulder and Bronson
Oh, you
hooked
gotta
up.
be kidding.
I was thinking the same thing, JR. Can he really do this big pump
Maybe
kick
it's
on
just
either
because they
side?
actually have more people now.
Kicking both members of Bear Country
I know they
simultaneously.
went
Amazing flexibility and power in the legs
Oh, the headbutt.
of Luchasaurus.
Not sure who got the better of that exchange. But Boulder here with Luchasaurus in the corner.
I honestly did not think that these two big eaters would have done this thing, brought this thing this far.
I know. They've stayed in this match.
I'm a big fan of the Jungle Boy Jack team, quite frankly.
Oh, the headbutt there from Boulder. Luchasaurus in
I'm
trouble.
a big fan of the Jungle Boy Jack team. He forgot they're called Jurassic Express.
On the top.
Every promoter I've ever worked for, Tony, said you can make big money with big men that can move. This big guy can move around for $339, and that's his thing. He may be $360. Hell, we don't know.
Tremendous superplex in the cover here. Shoot. No!
Oh, man.
Jungle Boy diving off the top to break up the pin. Jungle Boy landing on the apron, shoulder to the midsection on Bronson.
There you go.
Coming over the top, DDT.
Springboard DDT. How about that?
And
Look at that.
Boulder
Oh, my God.
just got planted,
That was sick.
but Bronson, oh my God.
Lord, they're
That was-
stacked up like cordwood for a second there.
That was wrong. I was like, oh man, that looks
Remind
rough.
everyone that AEW
Look
Dynamite
at
returns
it.
right here live to Daly's
It
Place in
looks rough.
Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah,
Wednesday,
I like how
April
Bear
21st.
Country-
Showtime is 7:30
Nope.
p.m. Tickets go on sale
Freaking
this
awesome.
coming Monday, April 12th
Yeah,
at
they're
10
kinda
Eastern.
unorthodox. I
Starting
like
at
that.
$20. AEWTIX.com.
I want to
that?
hear them on the mic. I haven't heard them on the mic.
Oh yeah, that's
There's
true.
nothing like seeing
Here's that
AEW
full
Dynamite
can
live.
ball.
Here with us at Daly's Place.
That's brutal.
Where else are you going to see something like that?
That was a boulder. That was a boulder.
And Boulder covers.
Wow.
Whoa! Bear Country very nearly unseated the number 2 contenders.
So there's some evidence of inexperience. You got to execute a much firmer cover, a pin.
Yeah, that's right.
And because he had it.
Yeah, he did
The
because
big
that was,
man had it.
that was a hell of a maneuver, man.
Yeah.
And we've seen Bear Country
Oh, they execute this, it could be over.
use this splash.
Oh, the lizard has risen.
They're on each other's shoulders,
Up and out, drop kick there.
and they just wait for Jungle Boy to
That
knock
was
it down.
cool.
The
That was
big
cool that
boot
they
there
cut
from
down the
Boulder.
tree and then
Now Jungle Boy in the grips of Boulder sent into the ropes. The clothesline staggers Boulder back, and Luchasaurus finishes the job.
Boy, he hit hard on the outside. He hit with his foot first.
Luchasaurus with Bronson spiked him in the center of the ring. The Mesozoic moonsault.
Man, something's got to give here.
2, 3.
Mesozoic moonsault. I haven't heard that before. After that was the factory, the new factory promo, and QT Marshall killing it on the mic, again. I think it was last week that he cut a really good promo. Maybe it was, I can't remember if it was last week or not.
No.
But he's been killing it with the promos, and I've been really surprised that he has those kinds of skills on the mic. His whole thing about how he does everything for Cody. That he's, what did he call it? He called it, he's his like his
No, I'm looking for the promo. They haven't posted it yet. Oh no. No, this isn't it.
Yeah, I guess not.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, there it is.
I don't want the reaction. No.
No. Yeah, no.
Damn, they haven't posted it.
Maybe
Why
it's
have
not-
you forsaken me?
Yeah.
It was a very good promo. It was pre-recorded at the artist formerly known as the Nightmare Factory.
Right.
And the punctuation mark of the promo was him splashing paint over the now dated Nightmare Factory logo.
Right.
But I like his presentation. I like that it was him surrounded by his guys.
Right.
And I like that there's 4 of them. You know, a lot of the groups have 5 people.
I like that they gave, I forget which guy it was, that they gave a little bit of mic time to.
That was Anthony Ogogo.
Anthony Ogogo. Yeah, he did really good. He talked about, like, I'm a big deal in the UK and, you know, kind of giving some background on himself and stuff like that. So that was a really good segment.
And I like how they have like this like UFC fight feel, you know?
Yeah.
Like it feels a little less like pro wrestling, even though it's, you know, pro wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean, yeah.
So that was dope. I'm excited to see where they're gonna shake out. And that's another faction. Did I mention them on my faction list?
Yet another, yeah, we think we got that one.
Okay. It's a lot of factions.
It is a lot of factions. Do we want to talk about how many factions there are now?
Wait, I thought we did.
I mean, but like, you know, the fact that people are saying, oh, there's too many factions in AEW, and
people are saying that? Who would say that?
Yeah, I mean, there's like 8 factions, and
that's like saying there's too many sprinkles on my sundae. No, there's never enough.
Yeah, see, I mean, to me, like, why wouldn't there be a ton of factions in a like? Why wouldn't people like band together to increase their chances of success with each other? And you know, I always go back to, it's different than this, but I always go back to the example of New Japan, where almost everybody is in a faction. It's like they're like teams basically. Yeah. And you know, there's a few guys that are independent, kind of like in, you know, college basketball or whatever. But most people like pick a faction at some point. And that's kind of how I feel like it is here. Like, you know, there's going to be a few guys that'll stay independent, but for the most part, you know, why wouldn't everybody wanna, especially the young upcoming guys, like the guys that are in QT's faction now, why wouldn't they want to throw their lot in with guys that can get them to that next level?
Yeah, my only problem with all the factions is when the storytelling becomes kind of repetitive. Mm-hmm. Like when we had like people getting recruited to Team Tazz as people were getting recruited to the Inner Circle, like at the same time. Like now that the Inner Circle just lost MJF, now they're teasing that maybe Team Tazz loses Brian Cage or something, like.
And they're trying to get Christian Cage also.
He wants all the cages.
He wants all the cages, and put all your cages in a cage. And yeah.
I think if there's 2 cages on your team, you're officially Team Cage. You're no longer Team Tazz.
Right. No, I wasn't going to say. I forgot. But yeah, I mean, I like all the, you know, as long as the factions aren't like holding people back, which none of them, I haven't seen any anybody being held back by anything. And the other thing about the factions, like pretty much every faction in AEW, like either emerged from a storyline or has storyline reasons why it exists. You know what I mean? It'd be one thing if they were just like, oh, throw these guys together. Oh, throw these guys together. But they kind of form organically. And if there's, if it's part of the story and it moves the story in a new direction, then why not have all these factions?
I know which faction I missed off my list.
Which one?
The Best Friends, who are now 4 deep.
Oh, that's right.
With Statlander.
We never got to talk about Chris Statlander's return. That was so cool. We never got to talk about Arcade Anarchy.
So the Arcade Anarchy match happened. I was disappointed because I thought they should fight in an actual arcade.
Oh, no.
I think that would have been cooler.
But you got to have the wrestling ring for, there's so much there's so much you can't do if you don't have a wrestling ring there.
Sure.
But like even the street fight with Darby and Sting, like they still had a wrestling ring there because there's certain things you just can't do without a wrestling ring.
Can't do it. Arcade Anarchy was a fun, crazy main event.
So fun, so great.
Brought about the return of Trent and of Chris Statlander, the alien.
And of Legos as a hardcore weapon. That was the perfect time to debut Legos as a hardcore weapon, which is something that if you watch indie wrestling, they use that quite a bit, and it's it looks so ridiculous, but when you think about it for a second, like Legos probably hurt like almost even more than thumbtacks because they're like don't pierce the skin, they just like the pointed edges just like dig into you, and it's like,
yeah, he came up and on his back was Legos stuck into his back as if they were tacks.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
It was crazy. And they got a lot of good jokes out of all the different types of arcade games, like the whack-a-mole.
Yeah, for sure.
That was fun.
That was a lot of fun.
And
anyway,
came back.
Getting back to this week, the next thing I believe was our weekly installment of Sting not being able to get a sentence out.
Oh, we can watch that in real time.
Yeah, we can watch it. I was joking with a friend of mine, like, what has Sting been trying to say for the last, 10 weeks? Like, how long has it been that he's been trying to, cut this promo that no one will let him cut? He's going to have, a fucking, pro-Biden promo that he never got to say after the election.
Vote for Gore.
Right.
Let's see what the Stinger has to say.
It really is. All right, Sting. It's a lot to unpack here. Darby's coming up here in a moment for the TNT Championship. I know you got a lot on your mind. What a response from the...
That's not the way we do it. You remember?
Here we go.
How can you forget it's only been, 7 days?
Oh, the new team. I forgot about the new team.
That's right, yeah.
He just cut away to All Ego Ethan Page, who debuted at Revolution, and Scorpio Sky, who's apparently in cahoots with him now.
Right.
And Scorpio Sky has not seen with SCU in a while. Yeah. But they're technically still a faction.
They're still doing that thing of the next time we lose, we're gonna break up too. They still haven't gotten there.
Yeah.
You start,
that's true.
We come interrupt, you do nothing but keep your mouth shut. Or in your case, shut your hole. Where's your little gerbil friend at?
Darby's a gerbil. I want to see Darby gerbil art now.
He looks like a little gerbil. You know, they say insanity, and I am a crazy son of a bitch. But they say insanity is when you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you expect different results. You know what? It's enough, Jake. If that's the definition of insanity and you're crazy, I'm one sick son of a bitch. And I'm sick and tired of the agenda in AEW. You bring me in, you put me to the top, and then you take me away. I fight Moxley, and then I go away. I work main event after main event after main event, and then
I like this promo a lot. I just wish that Lance would give it directly to camera. That's my only beef with it. That's the only thing that's like not taking it to the next level for
I
me.
think it kind of gives it a little bit more of a real vibe that he's not like panning to the camera. But yeah, I think that's a fair criticism.
away, and I'm done with it. The world's gonna pay attention to the Murder Hawk Monster, and Sting, you're going to pay attention to the Murder Hawk Monster because it's my time, Sting. I'm supposed to be in the main event, Sting. This should be me and Shivani, Sting. You don't need to talk because this is my time, Sting. Listen to me.
Now it's my time.
Okay, then say something.
Hey, I am going to say something if you just be slow to speak and quick to hear. Zip up your mouth for a minute, because I happen to be in full agreement with you. You're a main event guy, and you disappear, and I don't understand that either. Jake, what's the matter with you? What's a dumbfounded look on your face for? Tell him how to do it! No, shut your hole right now.
I don't understand why he had to tell him to shut his hole back. Like both Lance Archer looks better than both Jake Roberts and Sting in this promo set.
Yeah.
I think you're main event material. I think you got it. I think you just need to help him, Jake. Help him to channel all this energy in the right direction, and he will be in that squared circle, AEW on TNT, in a main event match, and possibly for the world title again, and without any disappearance. Make it happen.
What? What was that sentence? He'll be
Was
back
that, like,
without any disappearance?
With it, because he's talking about how he like has a main event match and then he goes away and he's like.
Oh,
so he's saying, yeah.
Okay. I forgot he said he disappeared. Okay.
Yeah.
Make it showtime. You got it in you. Now go do it.
How about that?
So, what does that even mean? Lance Archer is clearly trying to pick a fight with you. And
Right.
all you did was say nice things and encourage him, Sting.
Is
And
it
then
mind games?
Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky are just watching like, ha ha ha.
Right.
What?
Yeah, it's interesting that they kept showing Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. Like what are they, how are they trying to connect them to what's going on here?
Are they trying to recruit Lance Archer?
That could be, although I think Archer is definitely best left as one of those guys who is independent of faction.
Sure, I agree. I would rather keep him a lone wolf. But they did try to put him in a trios tag match earlier this year.
Yeah, that's the thing about guys like that are independent. Like, that doesn't mean they don't work with anybody. They're just not in a faction. But like Mox teams with people, Archer teams with people, you have to do that at some point.
What are you going to say about that?
That's pretty much it.
What are you going to say about that?
I think it's really interesting, particularly like I was talking to my friend about like who is going to take the TNT title off of Darby. And after that, you would think that the number one candidate now becomes Lance Archer because he's had an interaction with Sting. Sting really likes him. Maybe Sting like kind of gets caught in between him and Darby when they face off again for the TNT title. So And that would be a great match, just on a pure wrestling level. I mean, Darby against a big guy is always money, and those two would have amazing chemistry.
I would be excited for that match.
Definitely.
Next on AEW Dynamite.
Next up was the kind of weird Team Tazz promo.
So the first promo they did like this, I think, was the best one.
Yeah.
Where Brian Cage gives this like half-assed like who better, which I thought was perfect. And now I feel like they're just like running this into the ground. And especially that it's the same format every week, that it's just some pre-recorded thing.
Right.
It's kind of odd.
It's always like them as a group, and Tazz is trying to like pretend that everything's okay, and then like Cage will interact with Ricky Starks or somebody, and Tazz will be like, hey, stop it. Right. No, this is not what's happening. What's happening is I'm telling everybody how awesome we are, or whatever.
So they seem to be building to a Ricky Starks Brian Cage feud.
It does seem that way, yes.
Which is really interesting, although I'm kind of annoyed because, I feel like that takes away some of the spotlight in the wrong way from MJF and Jericho. Like, that literally just happened. Like, Team Tazz can't keep it together for, like, a few more weeks. Like, you can't, like...
Right.
Have them in tag matches that are, like, going wrong or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you
At
can't
the same time, I do think that Cage is also another one of those guys that probably works a lot better. Not necessarily on his own. Like, he could definitely use a manager to kind of do some of his talking for him. But I also think, like, he could definitely work a lot better as a loner than being part of a faction.
What I think would be cool is if Ricky Starks gets to have some promo time, and Ricky Starks is like, why are you the FTW champion of Team Tazz? Why didn't I get a shot at that belt? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'd like to see that feud play out in that way and actually have a match for that belt.
Yeah, I am 100% on board with actually doing something with the FTW title, which they really haven't since like they first introduced it. Like they had like one match, I think, maybe, or maybe not. I don't even maybe I can't remember now whether or not there's actually been a match for the title.
I don't think so.
But yeah, they really haven't done anything with it. And back in the day when the FTW title was born, Tazz was defending it constantly. The whole point was, what really happened was Shane Douglas was the champion and he got injured. So they kind of came up with this storyline of Tazz saying that Shane Douglas was ducking him and wouldn't face him for the title. So he invented his own title and, declared himself the uncrowned champion. But then he went around defending the belt like he was a fighting champion, even with his like fake championship belt, up until the point where Shane Douglas finally gave him a shot.
What's next on the show?
We got the next thing was Darby Allen versus JD Drake, which I really liked. JD Drake is a beast. I'm really excited to see more of him.
He's cool. I just don't get like his wrestler gimmick. Like I know he has like his gimmick is basically I'm a wrestler.
Well, his gimmick is like, I mean, I think the announcers kind of talked about it a little bit. Like he kind of isn't a wrestler. He's a fighter. So he has a lot of this like really unorthodox offense. I remember specifically one spot, he had this move when they were on the outside. He like took Darby and like threw him into the ropes from the outside and then clotheslined him when he bounced off of him. That I thought was really dope. I liked his like really unorthodox style. I'm excited to see more of that.
I like his his in-ring work, I just wish that his presentation was something else that's not what he is.
And that could be, one of those things that comes over time. I mean, he's wrestling mostly on Dark right now. Most of the guys on Dark don't really have that much of a character to speak of, until they do.
Yeah, for sure. I say put him in a mask, turn him into a freak.
He would be good for a freak. There should be like a freak faction, him and like Abaddon, and I don't know who else. I'm sure there's many other freaks.
Well, Luther would want to be in
Luther, definitely, yeah.
What else we got after?
So after that was
title defense of Darby Allen.
After the Darby Allen match was the Pinnacle went after Jericho. They locked the Inner Circle in their dressing room and attacked Jericho, and Mike Tyson made the save. That was a fun moment.
The hyped return of Mike Tyson to
One of the things my friend actually noticed this. After Mike Tyson just destroyed Sean Spears with body shots, you didn't see him again. I don't know if he actually murdered Sean Spears, but those punches didn't look like they were a joke. I think I kind of feel for Sean Spears taking all those rib shots, those body shots from fucking Mike Tyson.
Sean Spears has internal injuries. Vundacast reports.
Right.
It was a cool moment. I was just kind of I can remember when Mike Tyson first appeared on AEW Dynamite.
Right.
And he was not Chris Jericho's friend.
Not at all.
So what happened? How did they become best friends?
I know, it's kind of weird. And at the same time, first of all, it's Mike Tyson. So I kind of feel like Mike Tyson is so weird and wacky that
yeah, for sure.
Probably he doesn't remember who his friends are. He's fucking, he's had so many concussions or whatever. Who knows?
They should have tied it into Mike Tyson Mysteries, and he should have been like, I got a pigeon that you were in trouble with, Jericho.
Oh my God, I would live for a Mike Tyson Mysteries tie-in. That would be amazing.
Or if he just came in the jumpsuit, that would work.
Yes, totally. I think also there can also be something that kind of happens when two guys go at each other's throats. They kind of bond through that. And Mike Tyson's a boxer, so that's something that I'm sure he's experienced a lot throughout his career, of guys that he's gone to war with and then kind of become friends with later. So could explain it off kind of that way.
Yeah, and they had a cool moment posing in the ring. Mike Tyson hanging out with the Inner Circle. For all we know, Mike Tyson is the new 6th member of the Inner Circle.
That would be interesting. It would be interesting to see what they would do with that, actually.
Then was money?
The next thing was the Britt Baker promo.
Okay.
Which was also fucking great. I love what she did here, because basically what Britt Baker did here was she cut a heel promo about how title shots should not be based on wins and losses, but based on the things that they're actually based on in real life, which are star power, t-shirt sales, and ratings. That's how they actually decide in real life who gets championships. And it was kind of a shot across the bow to Vince almost, in a way. Yeah.
It was a meta wrestling moment. It was cool.
Definitely, yeah.
And she's had a lot of great mic work in 2021.
She really has. That promo she did after the hardcore match was very good. Where she even took down Mick Foley in that promo.
Britt Baker was someone like Orange Cassidy who I was not very much into, and now I dig her a lot more.
I definitely agree with that too. I was not big on Britt Baker, and I've really come around on her the last couple of weeks and months.
What's next?
Then was the Tay Conti versus Bunny.
And that was a good match.
It was good.
They teased that match earlier, didn't they, with the Hardys?
Oh yeah, they had
and the Dark Order.
And Tay Conti like took her down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had a little brawl before the actual match itself, which was cool.
Right. This was the other match of the night, in addition to the Page match, where Tay Conti's number one contender, but she has to defend it for a couple of weeks to kind of solidify her spot before she can really get. And by the time the match was over, they had Shida come in and take the kendo stick from Bunny, and Tay Conti gets the win. And then after the match, the commentators are like, "Yeah, it looks like Shida has her next contender." So that should be a really good match too between those two.
And Tazz, one of my favorite wrestlers in the women's division.
Yeah, she's great.
She's great. I dig her.
And finally,
last but most least.
It was actually a good match up until it wasn't.
We have the Young Bucks and Jon Moxley for the first time ever tagging together versus the Good Brothers and Kenneth Omega.
Yeah, I mean, it was good up until they started doing the dumb, forced, emotional spots, like this thing where Matt and Nick were like having all these conflicted feelings about doing a fucking wrestling move on each other, which, like, if you hadn't seen the last like 2 or 3 months of AEW programming, where they've been like flip-flopping back and forth a million times about, whether they're going to support their friends or they're going to call them out for their morally questionable actions. This probably would have been really good if you, in a vacuum, like, oh, it's a simple story. They don't want to hurt their friends, so they join their friends. But the week after week of this, like, wishy-washy, like, shit that they've been doing, I mean, it's been going on so long that the last time we did a podcast, which was like 2 months ago, we were complaining about this very thing.
It started off as an okay match, and it just became such hot garbage.
Yeah.
And literally, the ref, who is one of my least favorite refs in AEW,
the Rick Knox,
they destroyed his credibility as a ref.
Dude, like, they're just like all hitting each other, and
there is a rule that the ref counts to 5, and then the tagged people are supposed to remain in the ring, and everyone who is not legal is supposed to leave the ring, or else they risk disqualification. Rick Knox had to stand there for like 3 or 4 minutes straight while the Young Bucks made up their minds.
He does that a lot.
It was disgusting.
Yeah. It was so, like, and that kind of stuff, like, that's a fair criticism, but that stuff doesn't bother me as much as.
But just end the match.
The forced, like, emotion spots, which, like, and I was expecting it too. Like, I was kind of excited because, the last time Omega faced off against the Young Bucks, they had this really emotional match in New Japan at Strong Style Evolved. And there was this great moment where Kenny Omega had one of the Jacksons up in the one-winged angel, and then he was about to, he like hooked his arm, but then he put it down because he like couldn't bear to do it. And the guy, I think it was Matt, like took his arm and put it in place, like, no, do the fucking one-winged angel on me. It was beautiful. And but because it was earned, they did a whole thing with it. And this was just like, my only reaction was, oh my God, they're not seriously waffling about supporting their friends again.
If they had followed the rules of their own company, it would have been more dramatic. Okay?
Right.
They would have disqualified Kenny, and Good Brothers win the match by disqualification. Okay? The Young Bucks have just lost the match for Moxley, already softly betraying him. Now the match is over. It's just them on TV dealing with their feelings with Kenny. Okay? Then they could have done the betrayal they were planning to do. Everything exactly the same, except we don't have to take a pause again for the roll-up win and ha ha ha. We're such evil, fiendish villains. We got another win. Like, that's not the fucking point. Like, that is the point, but that's not the point.
I mean, it's this, the story that they were trying to tell with this is an A to B to C story. And they just kept going A to B to A to B to A to B to A to B to A to B. And then finally, when you get to C, no one cares because you've been going A to B so much that like,
it just,
like, I don't care, like, what, you've been doing this for like 2 months now. This doesn't make any sense.
Couldn't you have pretended it was all a ruse just to fuck with John Moxley, just to betray him this
Something,
night?
yeah. Like, that's something to tell that this was the plan all along, instead of, oh, okay, I guess we'll make up our minds and just join you guys after like 2 months of being all meh about it. Like,
I also, at this point, I see no incentive in them being a faction. Like, as far as their standings.
Yeah, like, there's no reason why they should even like each other anymore at this point. Like, Don Callis slapped Matt Jackson across the face, and they've been just, like, yelling at him for, like, and, you know, Kenny went crazy last week, and, like, what possibly possessed them to still be like, but my friend, like, who cares? And also, like, you're doing a wrestling move. It's not like you're murdering them. Like, why are you you're forcing this, like, sense of conflict into this match, and it has no meaning because you're doing this thing where you want to be tweeners because you think that makes you interesting. So they ruined the FTR build with this shit. They could have gone into that match as like hot fire baby faces, and instead they decided to start super kicking people for no reason so that they could be the cool tweeners. And it's like, stop this. Just like pick a thing, pick a motivation, and stick to it.
And what pisses me off is that I feel like they feel like they're winning because we're pissed off and they're heels. Ha ha ha, we've won. But I'm not mad at you for what you did.
I'm not mad at the character. I'm mad at you booking yourself.
I'm mad at you for sucking at this.
Yeah, seriously. It's a shame too because the rest of the show was really good. I was having an argument on Twitter with somebody, and they were talking about how AEW's flaws are like more glaring than ever right now. And I feel like if that's the case, it's because there are so few flaws that they really stick out on a show that's really good. And like, I mean, and especially when you put it in the main event and pay so much attention to it, then it's really going to stick out, you know? And like, the show's been so good, but there's a few little things that they still do that like are just like, they really need to cut it out. And this is one of them. The Bucks need to stop booking themselves for starters. They need to just be heels, also, and could take it from there. You know, like
I also think the most important part of the show is the ending, the last thought that you're leaving the audience with.
absolutely.
And they couldn't even agree on that. Like they're like, we're not gonna do the Bullet Club Wolf's Kiss. We're instead gonna give a group hug. Ha ha ha.
Oh yeah, Matt Jackson, like, oh, let's hug. Like, what is that? Like, if you're gonna finally pull the trigger on this, at least pull the trigger all the way and do the thing. Because then even that now makes me think, oh, they're still not gonna just like be heels. They're still gonna be weird tweeners.
I wish there was a universe where they had super kick John Moxley, then super kick Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers, and then just left.
That would have been actually really good, I think.
Why?
Fuck all of you people. We are done.
We're not involved in this drama anymore. Peace. Kick, kick,
Right.
kick.
Yeah, that would actually make some sense of why they've been so wishy-washy, been so tweener about all of this, and it's just like, you know what? Fuck all of this.
We're involved in too much drama. It's crazy.
Right.
But no, they love the drama. They live for it. They thrive in it. Killing the business.
Especially they live for the shoot drama. You know, they don't just live for the kayfabe drama. They live for people criticizing them as performers and as bookers. You know, they want to. That's another thing they do way too much is like breaking down the fourth wall in their promos because they think it makes them cool to like talk about the business or whatever in their promos. It's like, no, dude, why are you like like we all know that wrestling's fake. You don't have to rub it in our faces every time you talk.
Yeah. So with these young bucks gripes, we leave you.
Again, I want to say it was a really good show up until that point.
Up until they ruined it, it
Right.
was an entertaining show.
For sure, yeah.
I would like to encourage you to go over to Twitter and follow at Vundacast. And yeah, that's enough. Please subscribe, tell a friend.
Bless you, Steven.
Thank you. I'm blessed. And now that I've sneezed all over all of the listeners with my apparently I'm allergic to ads. Oh my god.
True Steven experience being sneezed on.
I am your host, the ever sneezing Steven.
And I am, as always, non-binary champion D-Rock.
And remember, kids, if the Hardy family office wants to pay you some money, make sure you get it up front and get clear someone to look over the contract a few times because he has been known to do some shady stuff.
Hail Thunder. Hail Thunder.
Vundacast? Give it up for Vundacast, man. What an adorable name.
You're listening to the Vundacast.
What's up, everybody? This is Jason David Frank, Green Ranger. You're listening to Vundacast.
Subscribe to the Vundacast.